Welcome back to another edition of Prospect Profile, a mini-series we do here within the Royals franchise where we go over prospects from AA Arkansas up to AAA Omaha. Last time we went over one of the top prospects in the system, first baseman Nick Prado. He was the first round pick for this team in 2017, and now this time we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going over 3 prospects in one video because they all kind of had similar paths, or they're all not really prospects right now, but none of them have really lived up to what people expected them to be, so I decided to clump them all into one video. First up on the list is Hunter Dozier. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking Hunter Dozier was just recently a top prospect. He was in the Futures game in 2016, but he has since gotten older, obviously, and he's not a top prospect anymore, probably because he's 26 years old, currently in AAA for us. In real life, he just keeps getting blocked by people. For the longest time, obviously, at first base, he was blocked by Hosmer, at third base, blocked by Moustakas, and now he's once again blocked by Moustakas, and now he's blocked by Duda at first base. He can play left field, but once again, Alex Gordon's in left field. Dozier probably has the better bat than Gordon, but they're not going to replace Gordon, and I'm not going to replace Gordon with Hunter Dozier. So the guy is obviously a third baseman and first baseman. He can play a little bit of left field, but he's mainly a third and first baseman. Swings the bat right-handed, obviously throws right-handed. He stands 6'4", weighs 220 pounds, so he's a big guy. He's got some pop in his bat. He's just a big, muscular guy. He was drafted first round in the 2013 draft, 8th overall by the Kansas City Royals out of Stephen F. Austin. And you would think a guy who was drafted in the first round, especially that high in 2013, would already be in the big leagues as an established big leaguer right now, or he's just completely fizzled out. Hunter Dozier is unique in that aspect, where in this game specifically, he has an A potential, so he's still got room to grow even though he's 26 years old. He's a 64 overall, so he's not quite where you want him to be, but he's still got some decent skills, and he's definitely going to be in the major leagues for us probably next season as a starting everyday player. He's got an MLB-ready bat. His contact and power are definitely MLB-ready, but his, what I'm going to call plate skills, are not really up to par. His vision and discipline are very unimpressive, and that's not good when looking at a player, because their vision is their ability to actually hit the ball, as I'm pretty sure that's what the definition of vision is in this game. Their ability to actually see the ball and hit the ball, and then discipline is their ability to work the count, draw walks, stuff like that, not swing at dumb pitches. And you don't want a guy who's going to hit 300, but his OBP is going to be 302. Or with Hunter Dozier's case, he's probably going to hit, like, I don't know, 260, 270, and then have an OBP of 290. Definitely don't want that. He has a good enough glove for third base. He's not going to wow anybody over at the hot corner. He doesn't have the Matt Chapman glove or the Matt Chapman arm. He doesn't have any outstanding skills at the hot corner, and he's definitely above average of a glove at first base, definitely more athletic first baseman than just sticking some fat guy over there, but he's not going to really wow anybody either position. And it's easy to see why he was a top prospect in the Futures game in 2016, as he slashed 296, 366, and 533. That's an 899 OPS. Very solid in the minor leagues. 23 home runs, 44 doubles. And that was between AA, where he played 26 games, and then 103 games in AAA with Omaha. But then in 2017, he only played 33 games that year, because early on in the season, he ended up breaking his wrist, and he did not get called up for September call-ups for the Royals. He spent the rest of the year, when he did eventually come back, rehabbing down in the lower leagues of the minor leagues. So 2018 is his first full season since that 2016 year when he was raking. And unfortunately for us, he has not started off the season raking, but we are confident that he's going to turn things around, because I am looking at him to be either the starter for us next year at first or third, depending on if we bring back Moustakas, and Duda's probably not coming back, so he's either going to be the starter at first or third. That is very likely. He's definitely going to be on the MLB roster in the 2019 season on this Kansas City Royals team. Now moving on to the next guy on the list, and that is Aldaberto Mondesi. You guys probably know him as Raul Mondesi or Raul Mondesi Jr. That is the son of Raul Mondesi, the former major leaguer. He's going by Aldaberto now. He is a second baseman slash shortstop slash third baseman. He is a switch hitter, right-handed throw, stands 6'1", 185 pounds. He was signed in 2011 out of the Dominican Republic. He was born in Los Angeles while his father was playing with the Dodgers, but then he grew up in the Dominican Republic, so that's why he was able to be signed as a teenager rather than going through the MLB draft process through a college or a high school or whatever it may be. And Mondesi is currently sitting at a 66 overall, B potential. He's only 22 years old, so he's definitely not like Dozier or the other prospect we're going to go over in this video. He's still young, he still has quite a high ceiling, but he does have a very interesting career because he made his MLB debut in 2015 during the World Series. So Raul Mondesi, despite not really doing much in that season, I don't think he did anything, to be honest. He was just on the roster. He does have a World Series ring. He is a World Series champion, and he's never really had more than a cup of coffee in the major leagues, and they weren't even really good cups of coffee. They weren't like going to Starbucks, getting your favorite kind of latte. It was more like you went to Target and got the Great Value brand, and you didn't have any cream or anything, so you had the Great Value black coffee. And just looking at his attributes, it's easy to understand because Mondesi doesn't have the greatest attributes. He's more of an old-school player. He's incredibly good at bunting, so he's perfect for a Ned Yost-style offense. That's not the future for us in this series. He is a pretty good glove. He's got great reaction, good enough fielding, good enough arm. He's not going to blow anybody away, but he's definitely able to play second, third, and short. And then he's also extremely fast, so he's going to steal a few bags and whatnot. He's a very Ned Yost-type player. But the big downside with Mondesi is he's never going to be like a 300 hit in the big leagues. He's never probably even going to be like a 260 hitter. He's just not MLB ready with the bat. He's not going to hit well for average. He's not going to hit for power at all. He has very minimal power, very minimal plate skills. He's really just a guy who can bunt and then steal bases, and he can field pretty well. So, I mean, his future with us is probably more so as like a utility infielder to play second, third, or short. But he's never going to be probably a starter with us. He could be packaged in a trade down the line somewhere to maybe trade for a bigger name or trade for a starter down the line when we're competing. But right now, his future with us is probably being like the utility infielder. Right now, it's Ryan Goins. Wouldn't be surprised to see Goins sent down and Mondesi end up being that utility infielder at some point in this season. And the final name on our list for this episode is Bubba Starling, probably the biggest bust in the Royals system, one of the biggest busts in recent history in the MLB draft. He's an outfielder, he hits righty, he throws righty, he stands 6'4", 210 pounds. He was drafted in the first round in 2011, 5th overall, straight out of high school, out of Gardner-Edgerton High School in Gardner, Kansas. So he's a Kansas guy, would have been a great story if he got to Kansas City, ended up becoming a star in Kansas City in basically his home state. Even though Kansas City is technically in Missouri, there's still a ton of Royals fans, obviously, in Kansas. And Bubba Starling is that typical guy who is an absolute stud prospect in high school, ended up going to pro ball, and he just couldn't really keep up with the competition. If you get drafted, you're no longer the greatest player on the team. You're just filled with a bunch of great players. Everybody was that guy on their high school team. Everybody was that guy on their college team. And I guess Bubba Starling, whatever it may be, just didn't really have it. He was the #1 college recruit in baseball in high school, coming out of high school to go into college in 2011. He was the #6 quarterback in the 2011 class for football. He actually had accepted a scholarship to Nebraska to play for the Cornhuskers in both baseball and football, but he was drafted by the Royals and opted to sign with them for something around $7 million, I think it was. And of course, he's got those super athletic genes as well, which is something huge with scouts. His mom was a 3-sport athlete at his high school, and then his dad was at a local high school, played basketball there. But as far as Bubba Starling goes, he's only a 62 overall in this, only a C potential, really doesn't have a high ceiling, but as far as what he is good at, he's a Gold Glove potential center fielder as it is right now. The guy, you cannot knock him for his fielding. He plays hard, he's going to get the balls quickly, he has no issue fielding. That's very apparent. He has 84 fielding, 78 reaction, 71 arm strength, 63 arm accuracy. The guy is definitely Gold Glove caliber in center field or left or right, if wherever you want to put him. And he's got decent speed too. I would say good speed, 72 speed, 60 stealing, so he's going to swipe a few bags here and there as well. And then he's also got the speed to play center field. But the huge knock on Bubba Starling is that he cannot hit really at all. He's got 22 contact against righties and lefties. His power is 43 versus righties, 46 versus lefties. So, I mean, He's going to run into a home run here and there, but I mean, it's not like decent enough power to where you can completely forget about him not being able to hit for average. He's going to hit like, I don't know, like 9 home runs maybe if he plays like a 162 game season. Maybe 10, maybe 11, while hitting like 190, 200. I mean, just to show you how little they view his hitting within the actual system in real life, he was promoted to AAA in 2016 after hitting 185 in AA. So they saw 185 in AA, and they said, that's good enough, send him up to AAA, he's good enough to play there. So, I mean, really, Bubba Starling's ceiling as a Major League player is probably being like a Juan Lagares type, where he's not really going to hit. He's just kind of out there to make it spectacular plays in center field and make it so your pitching staff doesn't have some bum out there in center field and they've got a Gold Glove caliber guy. So, I'm not sure if he'd ever be a starter for us because I like to have hitters as opposed to guys who can't hit at all. But it is possible that he ends up on the Major League roster at some point. Maybe he's like our 4th or 5th outfielder next year. But there are other minor league options that are better hitters and either just slightly less good fielders or good enough fielders to where it's more reasonable to call up somebody like Billy Burns or Jorge Bonifacio or Tyler Collins or Abraham Almonte than it is to call up Bubba Starling when all he can do is field and he can't hit at all, and those guys can field well enough at the Major League level, or they can field well like Billy Burns, he doesn't have a good arm, and they can also hit better, way better than Bubba Starling. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for the prospect profiles of Hunter Dozier, Aldaberto, Mondesi, and Bubba Starling. I've been your host, Jersey Born, and I'm saying goodbye.
My eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen.